ॐ योगेन चित्तस्य पदेन वाचां मलं शरीरस्य च वैद्यकेन योपाकरोत्तं प्रवरं मुनीनां पतञ्जलिं प्राञ्जलिरानतोऽस्मि। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
Namaste. Good evening session on Yogataravalī. We are having our course instructor, Dr. Vishwanath MV, with us today. Welcome, sir. Before we begin, I take this opportunity to give a brief introduction about our center and the course instructor and the speaker of the day. Yoga Vijnana Center for Yoga, Therapy and Research was started in December 2012 by Sri Vinay Siddhaya, an ex-IT professional who left 12 plus years of corporate career with the intention of bringing science and philosophy together and sharing the science of yoga to the common man in the simplest way. At Yoga Vijnana, we believe in the experiential journey towards one's spiritual growth, and so far over 3,000 plus practitioners from across the world have benefited from our various courses. Apart from regular classes that are conducted both at the center and online for beginners and experienced practitioners, we do specialize in yoga therapy, conduct many in-depth yoga and health workshops on Trataka, pranayama for seekers and yoga teachers, meditations, yoga retreats, silent treks, awakening workshops, prasanna vadanam, yoga props workshops, etc. We also conduct internationally recognized yoga teachers training courses at our center. We have brought out many chanting albums like the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, the Upanishads chantings, and are also going to launch the Bhagavad Gita chanting soon. All these are available on music channels like Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, and iTunes, etc. All of us are aware of Bhagavatpāda Ādi Śaṅkarācārya, the Vedic scholar, philosopher, and the propounder of Advaita philosophy. His contribution to Indian literature is enormous. Yogataravalī is one such text by Sri Ādi Śaṅkarācārya, which steps into the luminous depths of yogic wisdom. It reveals the subtle layers of inner yogic experiences from Nāda Anusandhāna and Bandhas to the awakening of Kuṇḍalinī and the depth of Kevala Kumbhaka. Today is Sri Ādi Śaṅkarācārya Jayanti, and we are happy to start the session on Yogataravalī on this auspicious day. What else can be a great tribute to Sri Ādi Śaṅkarācārya if we learn and practice Yogataravalī? To enlighten us about this beautiful text, we have Dr. Vishwanath MV with us today. He needs no introduction to most of us who are regular attendees of his Upanishad series. But for those who are joining us for the first time, I'll be privileged to introduce Dr. Vishwanath to all of you. Dr. Vishwanath MV currently serves as guest lecturer in the Department of Alankara Shastra, Government Maharaja Sanskrit College, Mysuru. He is also serving as an adjunct professor at the Department of Heritage Sciences at IIT Hyderabad. His thesis, titled Srimad Valmiki Samvayane Samvada Vimarshaha, was awarded with a PhD from Banaras Hindu University, Varanasi. He has 3 master's degree in Sanskrit, Alankara Shastra, and Phalita Jyotisham. His research areas include Sanskrit literature, Ramayana, Sankhya philosophy, Artha Shastram, Nimitta, Shakuna, and Phalita Jyotisham. He is currently the principal investigator of a research project titled Demarcation of Ramakatha through Samvada, funded by IKS Division of Ministry of Education, Government of India. He has published 4 research papers in referred journals. He has also contributed 4 chapters in the Kannada translation of Manasollasa, published by Karnataka Sanskrit University, Bangalore. He has presented research papers in many seminars and conferences. He has also delivered several talks on Sankhya, Jyotisham, and Bhagavad Gita. His series of talks on Kumara Sambhavam and Shishupala Vadham in Sanskrit, Kuvalayananda and Srimad Bhagavatam in Kannada, Rasagangadhara in Hindi are being made available on YouTube channel Guru Guhalahari. With this, I hand it over to Dr. Vishwanath sir to lead us through this Yogatārāvalī series. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Om Yoma Agne Bhaginagam Santamatha Bhaganchiki Rishati Abhagamagne Tankuruma Magne Bhaginankuru Namo Brahmane Dharanam Me Astvanirakaranam Dharayita Bhuya Sankarnayo Shrutam Machyo Dhammamushya Om Satchidanandarupaya Bindunādantaratmane Ādimadhyāntashunyaya Gurunāṃ Gurave Namaha Vande Gurunāṃ Charanāravinde Sandarshitasvātmasukhavabodhe Janasya ye Jangalika Yamane Samsara hala hala moha shantyai Sadashiva samarambham Śaṅkarācārya madhyamam Asmadācārya paryantam Vande Guru paramparam Shrutis smriti purananam Alayam karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkaram Lokashankaram. On this auspicious occasion of Shankara Jayanti, I offer my humble pranamas to the greatest philosopher, the greatest darshanika. Let us not use the word philosopher. So the greatest darshanika that this country has produced, that this country has given to the world, to that great Mahatma, to that Paramakārunikaha, the one who was responsible for bringing the different sects of worshippers under one roof. Now we can count the number of achievements that Bhagavatpāda has done, but the one that stands out, national integrity. When this word was even alien for us, very recently we are opening up to this idea of national integration, unity, and all these things. There was one man who had the vision of bringing the entire Bharatavarsam under one roof. And that one big roof was Vaidika Samskriti, Vaidika Sanatana Samskriti. And if anybody, I'm not just saying because on my right side you see Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya's photo and you see some symbol on my forehead. Not because of that I'm saying this, but even with an unbiased vision, if someone digs deeper, they will understand the amount of contribution, the magnanimity of the contribution that Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya has given to the corpus, to the core, to the crux of Indian culture, to the crux of Bharatiyata is immense, is beyond any measure. So it is a privilege to be able to begin the work of Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya on the Shankara Jayanti itself. I'll be very honest, usually those who have attended my lectures, they can't believe that I'm being serious for 3 minutes since the beginning. So I'll tell you one thing, that we did not actually look at the calendar and thought that 2nd of May is Shankara Jayanti. So we will begin the work, we'll begin this class on 2nd of May. It was completely coincidence. At least I can speak for myself and Vinayji, because when we planned this together, we had no clue whatsoever. We did not check the calendar at all. We were just looking at our own convenience, what dates will match our schedule. And we thought that we'll begin on 2nd. And so it happens that on this auspicious day, we are beginning one of the lesser known works of Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya. So whenever we hear the word Śaṅkarācārya, Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya, and as rightly mentioned by Dr. Veena ji in the introduction as well, Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya and Advaita Vedanta are like synonymous to one another. One cannot imagine Advaita Vedanta without Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya. That's the kind of stamp he has on Advaita Vedanta. One cannot even begin to fathom the existence of a darshana, that is Advaita Vedanta, without Adi Śaṅkarācārya. That is the kind of presence that one should have. This is how we were actually trained. He said that, who is your inspiration, or whom do you want to emulate when you grow up in this particular discipline? When it comes to yoga, it should not be like, I want to bend it like somebody, etc. Not like that. Our only motivation, only inspiration is Patanjali himself. Who else can be there? Is there anybody else who can replace Patanjali? No, right? So similarly, the position that Patanjali Maharshi occupies in Yoga Shastra, Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya occupies in Advaita Vedanta. So for such a stalwart in Advaita Vedanta, it is one of the Shad Darshanas that all have stemmed up from the same source, from the same root, the Vedic roots. There must be something that has not been explored in the works of Śaṅkarācārya. That is Yogatārāvalī. Not very much highlighted. Whenever we speak about Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya, it is not much highlighted. And more focus will be on the Bhashyas, on Brahma Sutra, Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and the Prakarana Granthas, all these things. So I'm not going to get into those details because that is unnecessary for this topic. But the range of the author is very much evident, and the available literature is sufficient enough to prove the range that Bhagavatpāda had. And one such unique work that he has is this Yogatārāvalī. And it might come as a surprise, but this is not the only yogic work that Bhagavatpāda has contributed. There is an Upanishad called as Mandala Brahmana Upanishad, which is also part of the 20 Yoga Upanishads. Okay. And this Mandala Brahmana Upanishad has a bhashya, has a gloss written by Bhagavatpāda Śaṅkarācārya. It is called as Raja Yoga Bhashyam. So his contribution to Yoga Shastra, or his gati in Yoga Shastra, is not limited to only one work, that is Yogatārāvalī. He has had that avyavahita gati, unprecedented movement, unbroken movement in the Yoga Shastra as well. Although it is not highlighted that much, that doesn't mean that he was not involved in Yoga Shastra or that he did not know the nuances of Yoga Shastra. A very simple work, Yogatārāvalī, a brief description about Yogatārāvalī. So Yogatārāvalī, the word Tara is used with a specific uddesham, with a specific motive. Tara refers to nakshatra. Okay. How many nakshatras are usually counted by us? The number of nakshatras that are counted by us is 27. And if we add one more nakshatra, then it will end up in 28. The number of shlokas present in the work Yogatārāvalī is 29. However, in the same chandas, the number of shlokas written in the same chandas which are actually dedicated and related to yoga, or the content, is only 27. The last two shlokas are in a different chandas. That is the style of every poet, every author. And if you go through several works in Samskrita literature, you will understand that this is the standard style that all poets follow. The content will always be presented in the same chandas. They don't change the chandas. That is one of the hallmarks of a great poet. It is discussed elaborately in literary criticism that what happens if they change the chandas in between. You can observe, I'll name a few Mahakavyas, you can go and observe what is the trend. And I'll also tell you who set this trend. It is Valmiki. And when we observe Valmiki Ramayanam, in every sarga, the majority of the shlokas are in Anushtup Chandas. Only the last shloka will be in a different Chandas. Mostly you will find in this pattern. Even if it is, for example, in Sundarakanda, we find Valmiki truly showcasing his poetic ability or poetic excellence. And in that Sundarakandam as well, when he uses a different meter, when he uses a different chandas, throughout the sarga, at the end of the sarga, he changes the chandas. That is to denote, that is to give us an idea that this is the content and this is like cherry on the cake. This is like the crown jewel. You prepare the crown and then all gold-studded and pearls or stone-studded crown is prepared, and then you place a jewel at the top of the crown. There are two jewels that are put at the end of this Yogatārāvalī. That is the reason why it is called as Tara. The word Tara in the work Yogatārāvalī refers to the number of shlokas present. Only 27 shlokas describing the content of the heart and soul of Yoga Shastra. The pace in which the work begins, it will take somebody who is new to yoga, it will take them by surprise. Because it doesn't begin with Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Just to give you a heads up, okay, if you are expecting that Śaṅkarācārya's work Yogatārāvalī begins with summarization of Yoga Sutras. So if it has to be summarization, or if any work about yoga, if it has to begin, then it has to begin with the definition of yoga, isn't it? So Yogas Chitta Vritti Nirodha, you won't find the name Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that statement, that explanation, that definition, nothing. He moves directly to Nāda Anusandhāna. So that gives us an idea that where exactly he is speaking from, what is the level in which he is speaking about Yoga Shastra. That gives us a different perspective. And it is important for us to build this perspective, mainly because we have heard plenty of Tantra Granthas. Okay. There are varieties of Tantra Granthas available. So Tantra, Shastra and Darshana, that is the hierarchy. So when it comes to Tantra Granthas like Hatha Yoga Pradipika, Gheranda Samhita, Shiva Samhita, these are all wonderful Tantra Granthas which detail the technicalities of yoga. And we have read all of them. I mean to say, I hope the audience are aware of such kind of works. And when we read those works, we understand how exactly the technique should be. How, for example, the Shat Karmas that they say, Basti and all these things, how it should be done. All the details are provided in works like Hatha Yoga Pradipika. So that is one part that is only preparing us to rise to a certain level. And to what category does the work Yogatārāvalī belong? That's an important question to ask ourselves as well. Yogatārāvalī purely belongs to the category of darshan, because he doesn't mince the words. He doesn't mince the words at all. It is purely a darshanika work. Darshanika work in the sense solely based on the experience, or describing, trying to put words to the experience. That's what darshana does. Darshana basically is experience. And when the experience is there, it is beyond words. That is true. Even though it is beyond words, whatever can be recalled has to be documented, has to be recorded. And this serves as a wonderful document of the highest order of experience that a yogi can have. And in 27 shlokas, just like each and every star, each and every shloka is like a star. That's why Yoga Tara, Yogasya Taraha, Yogataraha, Yogataranam Avalihi, Yogataravalī. That's how. Avali means pankti. Avali means sequence. So these are 27 Yogataras, Yoga Nakshatras, or Yoga Nakshatra like shlokas. And with this, he has kind of made a garland and offered it to Tannumas Sartvikam Shivam. Now, one must be wondering, gods must be crazy that you were speaking about, you're speaking about Yoga Shastra, and you already have jumped to Tannumas Sartvikam Shivam is basically a shloka that represents the 4 types of abhinaya that is related to Natya Shastra. What is the connection? There is a connection. Aharyam, what is the shloka? I want to remind you of the shloka. I don't simply speak out of my mind. It only appears as if I speak out of mind, that's all. That's only for your entertainment. I have the sutra in my hand. I know what I'm going to speak. Okay. So, Bhagavatpāda, in that shloka, it is said that Aharyam Chandra Taradi. So Chandra, Tara, all these things, the sun, moon, the stars, everything is considered as Aharya. Aharya, one of the abhinayas, Aharya, is that we use from the external sources. So these 27 shlokas which represent or which are in the form, metaphorically, which are in the form of nakshatras, are like a garland for that Paramayogeshwara Shiva. This is all very Kapola Kalpitam, not Kapola Kalpitam. If that was not true, then Bhagavatpāda would not have mentioned Sadashivoktani Sapada Lakshalayavadhanani Vadanti only. Sadashivoktani. The word Sadashiva has been used. So he is considered to be the premier one, the foremost one to have given the Yoga Shastra, or to have started off the tradition of yoga. Now, just contradicting myself here. Imam Vivaspate Yogam, Proktavan Hamavyayam, Vivasman Manave Praha, Manu Rikshvakave Bravita, Evam Parampara Praptam, Imam Rajarshayo Viduhu, Sakalene Hamata, Yogo Nashta Parantapa. Don't you remember this famous shloka of Bhagavad Gita? Are you not contradicting the Bhagavad Gita shloka where Krishna himself has said that Imam Vivaspate Yogam Proktavan Aham Avyayam. Avyayam Yogam Aham Prokta. Of course. Those who want to see the Dvidha or Dvedha, the division between Krishna and Shiva, they can. They can. For them, these are 2 different statements. For those who don't see any difference between these 2, for them, this is not a different statement at all. It is the same statement being reiterated, the same fact being reiterated in a different format. So, for a Paramatma, for Parameshwara, for whom the Chandrataradi itself is like an Aharya. So similarly, Bhagavatpāda has created this Yogatārāvalī, Avali, a sequence of 27 shlokas, and has offered it to Parameshwara. Okay, that is the introduction of Yogatārāvalī. So you know that our focus is going to be on 27 shlokas. That's all. We understand 27 shlokas. They are like the bridge. They are like stepping stones. Each and every shloka is going to reveal us the deepest lying secrets of Yoga Shastra. We start with the first one without further ado, because only 4 sessions. So we have to go in a certain pace. Okay. So the first shloka, Vande Gurunam Charanaravinde. Sandarshita Swatma Sukhava Bodhe Janasya ye Jangalikayamane Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shanti. How to understand this shloka? Very simple technique. Gurunam Charanaravinde Vande. He has not missed the poetic aesthetics as well, isn't it? Look at the word play here. Vande Gurunam Charanaravinde. Starts with Vande, ends with Vinde. Okay. So Vande Gurunam Charanaravinde. Gurunam, not just one guru, but Gurunam. It is a plural. So another important question that I usually ask is, these days I have started asking this question in most of the places. Gurudvayam Shishyanipata Hetuhu is a very popular term. Okay, it's a very popular proverb in Sanskrit. So if anybody takes up two gurus, okay, more than one guru, guru dvayam, okay, shishya nipata hetu. That is the reason for the downfall of a disciple. How do you ensure your downfall? Pick two gurus. Monday to Wednesday, one guru. Thursday to Sunday, another guru. Okay. You will be finished. If you are searching, if you are seeking how to self-destruct, if you want to take yourself to that self-destruct mode, have two gurus and finished. It's something similar to the famous Kannada proverb as well, where they say that Yaradoni mel kalittoru. Those who keep their feet on both the boats, they will eventually succumb. So this is a popular idea. Guru Dvayam, not even many gurus, only two gurus is sufficient to kill a Shishya. Then how come here he says Gurunam Charanaravinde? The one thing I don't understand is Gurunam is plural. Okay. Simple Sanskrit grammar. Okay. Gurunam is plural. Charanaravinde is Dvivachanam. So if there are many gurus, how come the Charanaravinda is only two? Something is wrong. No? Charanaravinda is Dvivachanam. In English, we don't have that, that Vachanam. No? We have singular and plural, that's all. But in Sanskrita, we have Ekavachanam, Dvivachanam and Bahuvachanam. Charanaravinda is Dvivachanam. But here it says, Gurunam Charanaravinda. Now, the popular traditional way of dealing with this is Gauravarthe Bahuvachanam is usually what the Shastra or the tradition says. I'm not in agreement with that. But anyway, I have to respect the tradition that I have walked. So that's why I have mentioned that as well. So they say that out of respect, you can use Bahuvachanam. You see the samvada, you see the conversation that happened between Krishna and Arjuna. Okay. Where has he used Bahuvachanam? Even if you want to see, initially he was like, you are my friend, that's why I'm using singular. But even in Ekadasha Adhyaya, even in Vishwarupa Darshana Yoga, do you find Arjuna addressing Krishna in plural? Very rarely you will find it. So when I am seeking, when I am talking to God, or when I am pleading in front of my deity, it's not the plural. It's not the Gauravartha plural that the Shastra so famously claims. We don't tend to use that plural form when we are very close to our deity, isn't it? Look at all the kritis of Tyagaraja Swami. He kind of takes him as for granted. Have you not got even compassion until now? What are you? Are you made out of stone? So he speaks like that, no? So all the great bhaktas, they have always conversed. They have always conducted their communication with their upasya devata in singular. And how come here it is Bahuvachanam? There is a rahasyam here. Okay. Now, somebody told me that you have to say all these things in between. Okay, you have to say these things in between. That's how you will become more, what is that, path breaking, a social media sensation. That is the word, okay? If you want to become a social media sensation, then you just have to tell that there is a rahasyam. Nothing rahasyam, it's a simple logic, okay? It's a simple logic. And I'm presenting it in front of you, that logic. It's about how I package it. All right. The thing is, the word Gurunam Bahuvachanam is not out of Gauravartha. It is not out of reverence that he has used plural. He has used the plural form to denote the Guru Parampara. The entire Guru Parampara has to be captured in one word. Therefore, Gurunam. And this is the exact same idea that we see even when we begin our chanting, especially the Vedic chanting. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Why Gurubhyo Namaha? You are learning from one Guru. And in front of your Guru, you are saying Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. That is because of respecting the Guru Parampara. The entire Guru Parampara has to be remembered. If not for Guru Parampara, our Samskriti, our culture would have fallen down. What do you think held Yoga Shastra, the secrets, the tenets, the core, the heart, the soul of Yoga Shastra for this long? What has held it together? The Guru Shishya Parampara. If anybody tells you otherwise, and there are people who have told otherwise as well, not in Yoga Shastra, but in music industry. Carnatic Shastriya Sangeeta discipline. Okay, I don't want to take the name of the gentleman. This much hint is sufficient for Buddhivantaru, for people who are smart enough, they can understand whom I am referring to. They are a part of that parampara. They are a product. They are a result, direct result of that great parampara. And then they have the audacity to turn against that parampara, not respecting that tradition. It's very wrong, isn't it? One should never forget how the Vidya has flown, how the Vidya has moved from there till here. We are nothing but grateful. We have to be nothing but grateful. That's all they are seeking. That gratitude should be there. And this is the way that gratitude is presented, by referring to all the gurus, not taking any one person's name, but taking all the gurus together. Guru Nam. Taking all the gurus together. And each and every single guru's charana is Charanaravinda only. It is not only charana. Charana means feet. Aravinda means lotus feet. We see this kind of obsession in all our literature, that charana is usually attached or associated with Aravinda, with Kamala, Charana Kamala. That's a very famous point. So, Gurunan Charana Aravinde Vande. Okay. So, Charana Aravinde is in Vidya, but I don't want to get into Samskrita here. Charana Aravinde Vande. Now, for what purpose? If I am doing a namaskara, then there should be a purpose. If somebody asked you to, hey, this is the most famous deity, they don't tell you anything. They are taking you on a trip. Imagine that. They are taking you on a trip. That famous Namakkal temple and all those things are there, towards somewhere Andhra, Tamil Nadu, somewhere. While going, Tamil Nadu is a land of temples. They are simply taking you on a road trip. Everywhere they don't tell you what deity is this, why you should do this namaskara to this deity, what is the greatness of this. No sthala puranam, nothing. If someone just tells you for 15 days you are on a trip with them, everywhere they will show the deity and ask you to namaskara madu, pranam karo. How long will you do the pranama? You will eventually ask them, no, why, who, what am I going to gain by doing namaskara to this deity? So these questions are quite obvious. So Bhagavatpāda has answered that question by saying that what is the purpose for doing the namaskara to a guru? See, we have various other uddeshas, other motives for bowing down to a guru. And most of the days, you are not interested in respecting the guru, like how these college kids are. As the teacher enters, as the lecturer enters, the professor enters, they stand up. Not because they want to respect, just because it has become protocol. That's all. It's protocol. Meeting has begun. You have logged in to your work. The meeting has begun. You have to say good morning, boss. You don't like to say good morning at all. But protocol. Okay. So is this something similar to protocol? No, it is not. There is a deeper meaning behind it. Why exactly, or what should be in our mind? What should we seek when we are bowing down to Guru? Yogena chittasya padena vacha. It should not become a protocol, I'm telling you. This is the fundamental. This is the darshana part. Only when there is darshana, and when we have a strong foundation of darshana, our tantra, our technicality gets more meaning. It becomes more meaningful. Next time, before beginning the class, Om Yogena Chittasya Padena Vacham. Very good, fantastic. Please do that. But also keep in mind, why exactly are you doing that pranama to Patanjali? There should be a reason, no? The reason is, only one reason can be there for doing that pranama, for doing that namaskara, to do that vandanam to Guru. For other people, when you do vandanam, there can be multiple reasons. When you do Vandanam to Guru, there can be only one reason, only one purpose. What is that purpose? Samsara hala hala moha shanti. Finished. Is samsara, the little time that we get between janma and marana, between birth and death, that is called as samsara. That little time that we get is our moment to live. No, that is hala hala basically. Okay. Let us be realistic. Let us not get carried away by all the romanticized words of poets. Don't get carried away. Well, you have to bring it back to the reality. What is samsara? Samsara is filled with dukkha. So in other words, samsara is hala hala. The greatest of all poisons. That is hala hala. Okay. Samsara itself is hala hala. It's not like samsara. In samsara, there is a hala hala. No. Samsara itself is hala hala. Samsara itself is poison. Samsara hala hala. What does it create? So we have already consumed this hala hala. What are the after effects of consuming samsara or consuming poison? Moha. Delusion. कभी भांग चखे देखा है? Yeah. If you consume, even by mistake, if you consume bhang, I'm not supposed to say all these things, but no, it's okay. Yoga Vijnana knows me, and Vinayji has a very good editor. He knows where to cut. I'm very safe. That's why I feel very safe. I trust him. So it creates a sort of intoxication. Or there are many other examples of intoxication these days, which I don't want to give. But anyway, what happens after? What are the after effects of that intoxication? People forget who they are, isn't it? Simple example. Chad gaya hai, and they forget who they are. And what has happened to us is the same exact thing. Samsara hala hala has gotten to us, and we have gotten high on samsara, and we have forgotten whom? Ourselves. As simple as that. Plain as a paper. Plain, clear as daylight. Samsara is that hala hala upon whose consumption we get deluded. We get so high that we forget ourselves, and only samsara becomes the reality for us. That is the moha that he is talking about. Okay. Samsara hala hala moha. And what needs to be done? Nimbu pani, right? Samsara hala hala moha shanti. That has to come down. You can't pluck it out. You can't clinically remove it. It has to come down. The after effects have to come down. And what is it they call it as? And there is a word for that, no? Not after effects is a very sophisticated word. There is a particular word for that, which I forgot. Anyway, you people are quite aware of that. If anybody tells it, it means that they have experienced it. So everybody is like, no, I'm not going to unmute myself and say that word. Even though I know that word, I'm not going to say that word. Because people will start judging me.
Nasha.
Sorry?
Nasha, is it?
Nasha is correct. Yeah, that is a Hindi word. There is an English word for that,
Sir, I think it's hangover.
See, correct. That is the word we were looking for. Hangover. So how do we get rid of this hangover? It has to come down gradually. You can't clinically remove it. One injection and your hangover is gone. It doesn't happen like that. It takes a while. They have to take so many medications, so many things they have to do. And so similarly, samsara hala hala moha shanti, in order to reduce that delusion that we have got due to the higher consumption of samsara poison, I bow down to the Charana Aravinda. I bow down to the lotus feet of all the gurus. So this is what we seek. Every time we bow down to Guru, what are we seeking is, get me down from this samsara hala hala. Remove this delusion that I have in my mind about samsara. So if it has to do, the Charana Aravinda, the lotus feet, should have some characteristics. No, it should have some character, some ability should be there. 2 adjectives in 2 lines, we are done. This is how you understand Samskrita shlokas. Very simple to understand. Don't have to scare. You don't have to be scared at all. Very simple. Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe. First one, it needs to have prior experience, CV, resume, track record of Guru Nam Charanaravinde. Now, the lotus feet of Guru has got a track record. You are not the first one, bacha. There are many people who have been, like, बहुत सारे लोगों को उन्होंने पार किया हुआ है. That's why he is Parangataha. What a beautiful word Parangata is. Vidya Parangata, Yoga Parangata. No, fortunately, none of the institutions give this title for MA, PhD, and all these ridiculous things. I'm glad. Maybe I have spoken too soon, I don't know. Okay. If anybody is in board of studies, please do not recommend the word Parangata for Parangata for PhD, for something else. People have an obsession of naming Indian name should be there. And we have already written Vidya Varidhi. What Varidhi? I don't even have a spoonful of Sahitya Shastra Jnanam. I don't even have a spoonful of Jnanam of the Shastra. But I have a PhD for namesake. You see the name, doctorate. Vidya Varidhi. What Varidhi? Varidhi में va भी नहीं है वहां पर. Varidhi. Those names should be, if we call that name, it should mean something. It should not be simply, I say he bant diya hai. Parangata, only a guru is Parangata because he knows how to cross this samsara. And not only does he know how to cross this samsara, but he also possesses the ability to take someone and cross them over as well. That's why Sandarshita, Darshita, the word is Darshita, not Drishta. There is a difference between Drishta and Darshita. Drishta is one who has witnessed, one who has experienced himself. Darshita is one who has made others experience it. That's a strong CV. That is Tagada. Okay. Sandarshita, Swatma Sukha Avabodhe. Swatma Sukha. How do you understand Swa, Atma, Sukha, Avabodha? Very peculiar words. Okay. Swasminneva. Swa refers to within oneself only. He did not ask you to go and do something somewhere else. No. Swasminneva. Within oneself. Atma. Not somebody else. Within you, you can witness other things. No. Within you, you witness yourself. Atma. And it gives that Ananda. That word Ananda, because of the Chandas constraints, Bhagavatpāda has used the word Sukha. But he actually means Ananda by that. Okay. So, Swasmin, within oneself, Atma, Atmanaha, of oneself, Ananda. And that has Avabodha, not just Bodha. Bodha is, by reading these works, by giving hundreds of lectures. We also seem to be, very much aware of Atmananda. I know Atma Vichara. Oh, Atma Bodha, Advaita Siddhi. From Atma Bodha to Advaita Siddhi. Everything I've read in Advaita Vedanta. Oh, very good. Anubhava, zero. That should not be the case. That should never be the case. So there should be Anubhava. That's why Avabodha has been told. Bodha means knowledge. Avabodha is comprehension. Comprehension is always 360 degree. It is complete. It is full. It is never incomplete. Okay. So that Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe. And what actually guides us, what actually leads us towards that Atma Bodha or that Atmananda Anubhava? The Guru Charana. The Guru's Charana Kamala is the one that actually leads us there. Sandarshita, Swatma Sukhavabodhe, and the ones that have the Charana Kamala of Guru, which has showed or which has made, which has enabled others to witness Atmananda. And I bow down to that Guru Charana Kamalam. Okay, 2 things. Now, so these are all okay, but you did not mention, you did not give me the medicine to get over this hangover or to reduce this hangover. does Guru's Charana Kamala, Guru Charanāravinde, does it have any ability to reduce the hangover of samsara hala hala? Yes, it does. Ye means those two padas, those two charanas, Charanāravinde of Gurus, Janasya Jangalikayamane. Jangalika, it's a very peculiar word in Sanskrit. Vishavaidyo Jangalikaha Amarakosha. The dictionary, the lexicon, says that a Vishavaidya. Okay. I think there is a peculiar word for that in English as well. I'm forgetting that word. But the one who treats poison, one who knows how to extract poison, one who knows how to treat poison, he is called as Jangalika in Sanskrit. So the Guru Charana is like Janasya. For all the people, it is Jangalikayamane. It acts like a Vishavaidya. Because there is already so much of Visha within us, all thanks to samsara. And this samsara hala hala has created this delusion. And if you have to reduce, if you have to get rid of this delusion, moha shanti is what you are seeking. Moha is delusion, shanti is the eradication of that. Even though we are seeking moha shanti, we are not focusing on the moha itself. That is the beauty of, that explains heya hetu. Isn't it? Yoga Sutras. Heyam dukkham anagatam. And then what is the heya hetu? That aviveka is the heya hetu. Avidya is the heya hetu. That's why the Yoga Sutras also mention that if you compromise, if you can extract, if you can remove avidya, then you get rid of samsara as well. But whatever dukkha is supposed to be faced, all of that can be avoided. So we not only work on the appearance is moha. Moha, the delusion, the after effects of delusion is what we are working with. That is the problem that we have in our hand. But we are not finding solution only for that problem. We are finding the solution for the root cause of that problem. What is the root cause of that problem? The root cause of that problem is samsara, you know. So that's why, or that hala hala. Samsara itself is the hala hala here. The metaphorical way, samsara itself is the poison. Therefore, we need a Vishavaidya. We need an expert who knows how to remove the Visha. That's why the Charanāravinda has been equated with Janasyaye Jangalikayamani. They are like Vishavaidya. They serve as a Vishavaidya to the samsara hala hala. First shloka is done. Vande Gurunam Charanāravinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe. It is not Sandrishta, it is Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe. Janasyaye Jangalikayamane Samsara hala hala moha shantyai. This is the reason why we go down to the Guru in the beginning of everything. Before we begin anything, why that Guru Prarthana is done? This is why Guru Prarthana is done. Very important. Moving on. And it also highlights the importance of a Guru in the pursuit of yoga. Needless to say, hundreds of books we may read, hundreds of techniques we may master. Until and unless there is a Guru to guide you, to take you through, none of these things will matter. Therefore, the role, the significance of a Guru is highlighted in shloka number 1. So that is the takeaway lesson. And he says, Samsara hala hala moha shanti. And also the Samsara hala hala moha shanti. What a wonderful way of putting or giving that perspective of yoga. What is the ultimate purpose of yoga, you ask? Samadhi and all is fine, okay? We are so much used to listening to these words. Now, samadhi, samadhi, samadhi. We have heard the word samadhi so many times. It's okay, but what is the purpose of that samadhi? Why are we seeking that samadhi? Samsara hala hala moha shanti. And I'll also tell you, it is not just because Bhagavatpāda has said, it is not because Yogatārāvalī says so. See, we know that ekam sankhyamcha yogancha yah pashyati sapashyati. You all agree with that statement. It's made in Bhagavad Gita. Sankhya and yoga are not two different things. They are one and the same. And how does Sankhya begin, by the way? What was their uddesham? What was the motive with which Sankhya began? Dukkhatraya abhighata, isn't it? They started with Dukkhatraya. So dukkha and that dukkha has to be removed. And that is why Sankhya started. And yoga is an extension of that Sankhya. So the removal of dukkha has always been an integral part of yoga. So the dukkha here is presented as samsara hala hala moha. Moha is the dukkha. We are deluded. That's why we are facing the dukkha, isn't it? Words are different. Don't get confused. How exactly samsara hala hala moha shanti is not different from heyam dukkhamanagatam, dukkhahanam. That is what ultimately yoga also speaks about, dukkhahani. And that dukkhahani and samsara hala hala moha shanti are not different. Sophisticated words presented in a different way. That sets the tone, the significance of guru, the ultimate purpose of yoga shastra, all of these things put together in the first star of Yogataravalī. Vande Gurunam Charanaravinde Sandarshita Swatma Sukhavabodhe Janasyaye Jangalikayamane Samsara Hala Hala Moha Shantyai. Then this Paramananda that you have talked about, Sadashiva, the Swatma Sukhavabodhe, that Sukha that you talked about, how is it achieved? Is there any existing record, documentation? Of course there is. Sadashivoktāni sapadalakshalayavadhanāni vasanti loke Nāda Anusandhāna samadhimekam manyamahe manyatamam layanam. Okay. In this world, loke, in this world, this is basically, what do you call that? In research, literature survey, sorry. It's very important, no? In any research, literature survey. What are the previous literature available on this? Are you saying something new? Are you bringing something new? No. Sadashivoktāni sapadalakshalayavadhanāni vasanti loke. Asmin loke, in this world, vasanti, they are still existing. It's not like they are all gone. So it's not like only in the books, only in the textbooks, these methodologies exist. No, these methodologies exist not only in text, but also in practice. That's why vasanti, it's a vartamana kalam. It's a present tense that Bhagavatpāda has used. So it means that there are certain methods of attaining that samadhi, and they have been documented. How many methods are there to attain that samadhi? Sapada laksha layavadhanani. Laya, there are 4 types of yoga that are popular in the Upanishads. Okay, Upanishads doesn't talk about jnana, karma, bhakti, raja, not like that. They talk about mantra, hatha, raja, and laya. These are the 4 yogas that Upanishads talk about. Okay. So amongst them, laya is considered to be highest. Raja is where you find all 3 of them. Mantra, hatha, laya, all 3. It's like a triangle in a circle. Or a circle in a triangle. It depends on how you view. Okay. But nevertheless, you will have these 4 as the fundamental yogas that are mentioned there. Amongst them, the Laya Vidhana. Laya Vidhana means the methods. How many methods are there? Documentation, literary review, that Sapada Laksha, 1.25 lakhs, 1,25,000 ways of Laya Yoga are existing in practice even to this day, is what Bhagavatpāda is saying here. And who has said all these things? Sadashivoktāni. All of them have been told by Parameshvara, Sadashiva. Now you understand why the Guru Parampara begins with Sadashiva Samarambham. Right? There is a purpose behind it. Why exactly they said Sadashiva Samarambham. Okay. So Sadashiva, Parameshvara, or popularly nowadays called as Adi Yogi, isn't it? Have I said it correctly? Yes. Right. Okay. So Sadashivoktāni, Parameshvara, has documented, has given to the world 1,25,000 Laya Margas. Let there be 1,25,000 Laya Margas. We don't mind. Okay. Amongst them, Nāda Anusandhāna samadhim ekam. Amongst all of them, we are going to pick one. What is that? Nāda Anusandhāna Samadhi. The way the samadhi happens, or the methodology to attain that highest order, samadhi, which is Nāda Anusandhāna. Kamsya Ghanta Ninadavat, the Upanishad's famous line. Okay. The Ghanta Nada that happens, one has to follow behind that last bit. Okay. And when we keep following that last bit, it will lead us that Chitta Laya happens. And they also said that it gives out the sound of Omkara. Omkara has got so many components in it. And slowly how we move behind one and the other, how that Laya happens. That's why amongst all the Laya Vidhanam, amongst all the methods of Laya, the one that stands out, the one that is outstanding is Nāda Anusandhāna. And more on this Nāda Anusandhānam we find in the Yoga Upanishads. I don't want to spend much time discussing what is Nāda Anusandhāna. This text is an introduction. It acts like a trailer kind of thing for all the Yoga Upanishads. The darshan of yoga is captured in such a way, in such a brief way, that it generates that interest that I want to know more about Nāda Anusandhāna now, isn't it? Nāda Anusandhāna Samadhim ekam manyamahe manyatamam layana. He says that we consider Nāda Anusandhāna Samadhi, the Laya that has, Samadhi is Laya here. So Laya and Samadhi are not different in this context. So the kind of Laya, the dissolution that we achieve through Nāda Anusandhāna is considered as the greatest of all Laya methods. How many methods are there in Laya Samadhi or Laya? 1,25,000. Amongst 1,25,000, Nāda Anusandhāna stands out. That is what Bhagavatpāda says in the second shloka. And it just goes on to show the importance of Nāda Anusandhāna. Sound. It starts as a sound. No, it begins as a noise. It starts as a noise because we are making some noise. No? And look at the journey of making a noise, or maybe if you don't like the term making a noise, okay, making a sound. In Kannada, it sounds much better actually. Saddu maduvudu. See, this saddu is a tadbhava of shabda. It is not something else. Saddu is a direct tadbhava. I mean, there is a tatsama tadbhava kind of concept in Kannada language. Almost every Indian language has got that tatsama tadbhava. And saddu is like a tadbhava of shabda. So how this saddu, that is sound basically, noise that we make, it leads to that shabda. And see, when they say that Nāda Anusandhānam, and that Nāda, it has to be anahata. The journey from ahata Nāda to anahata Nāda is known as Nāda Anusandhāna. If I have to give it in one line, the journey from ahata to anahata, that is Nāda Anusandhāna. And every time there is an ahata Nāda, it should eventually lead us to anahata. And that's how, that is exactly how all the instruments were introduced in our country, in this Bharatavarsha. Whether they are percussion instruments or muraja, avanadha, tantri, whatever the type of instrument might be, that instrument has got only one purpose. That purpose is that it should lead us towards that Nāda Anusandhānam. If it is not leading us towards that Nāda Anusandhānam, then it will not be considered as an instrument. Just to remind you, Veenavadana Tattvajnaha, Shrutijati Visharadaha, Talajnascha Pramaktaha, Mokshamargam Sagacchati. What is the necessary for Yajnavalkya to speak all these things? Yajnavalkya was a great Muni. He was a Brahmajnani. Why are Mr. Brahmajnani, why are you interested in music? Why do you want to talk about Veena? One might ask this question, no? The question is absolutely stupid. Nāda Anusandhānam, you see? That's why the instruments hold such a significance. all the great yogis, you will see them that they will have one or the other sort of instrument alongside them. It could be a shankha, it could be a flute, it could be veena, it could be a tambura, it could be a mridanga, music instruments. Nāda Anusandhāna. There is no other better way of manolaya or chittalaya that can be attained other than Nāda Anusandhāna. That is the reason why they say, Shishurveti, Pashurveti, Veti Gana Rasam Hani. Not the actual palm, not that one, not the actual snake that they are talking about. Hani, Patanjali, he knows what is the significance of Ganam. He knows the significance of music. Okay. The reason is Nāda Anusandhāna Samadhimekam Manyamahe Manyatamam Layana. Amongst anything that can be revered, Manyatamam. Manya means that can be revered. Manyatamam means the greatest amongst them. The greatest amongst all the Laya is Nāda Anusandhāna. This is how you stamp an authority. अब कोई बता दे इसके खिलाफ. Is there any other way that you can challenge this claim? You can't. It is so sound, you know. And the logic is so sound because it is about sound. It is so sound as well. Nāda Anusandhāna. That should be our ultimate purpose. Every time we hear this noise, and I'll also tell you how beautiful our culture has been. Okay. They say that, you know, in Kannada, sorry, I'm a Kannada speaking person, so that's why most of my examples will be from that local language. And you have to add some local tadka as well, local ingredients as well in between. It makes it more powerful, more presentable. They say that Santelu nidde madonu. You must have heard this particular phrase where they say that there are few people who have the capability to sleep even in a full-fledged market. You know, what does it denote? Nāda Anusandhāna. Because they are not interested about the noise that is happening around them. Ya nisha sarva bhutanam tasyam jagrati sanyame yasyam jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. Is Gita for you. See, I'm just trying to bring in different aras. Ara in Sanskrita means spokes, you know, different angles, in order to make it a wheel. If it has to be a wheel, if it has to be a circle, if it has to be complete, then it has to be comprehensive. It needs to have 360 degrees. I can't go on 180 degrees. That is senseless to me. Lectures in colleges are like 180 degree. One-way traffic, you know, goes from here, there, finished. No end there. It should be 360 degree. Samvada is 360 degree. It revolves, it comes, it makes a groove, it makes a samskara, it stamps its authority. Okay, fine. So you see how all these things, you know, the fantastic idea of Nāda Anusandhāna presented in small proverbs. That is a great thing. And we can learn more about Nāda Anusandhāna in the Upanishads. So we move on to the third shloka. Second shloka was all about establishing what is it that we want to seek. And interestingly, the sannyasis, for sannyasis, because he was a staunch authority of sannyasa, you know. So for sannyasis, it is very clearly mentioned they don't need to do anything else except Nāda Anusandhāna. Only Nāda Anusandhāna. But they are given in a different format, a capsule, pranava. They are given a direct capsule. You take only pranava. No Gayatri for them. No other mantra upadesha is, they are not supposed to chant any other mantra. You know, what a wonderful path that is. You know, when one has prepared themselves in such a way that they are able to take this flight where only Nāda Anusandhānam they can do day in, day out, 24/7. That's when one is truly prepared for sannyasa. If I am prepared to be a good orator, then I must remain as a good orator. Don't take up sannyasa just because you are a good orator. If you seem that you are fascinated by sannyasa, don't take up sannyasa. Sannyasa is not for fascination. It's not a fancy thing. It's not something to be romanticized about. If you have plenty of responsibilities, if you are not able to complete one responsibility that you are having in samsara, your own karma phala, you're not able to fulfill the responsibilities, and you're dreaming about attaining sannyasa, no, it doesn't happen that way. It's something very sacred and limited. Good things come in limited edition. Okay. So it's not meant for everybody. But there is another way. There is a hack. Why do you have to worry? That's the whole point of karma yoga, where the concept of karma phala sannyasa is brought in. We can practice that, no? But no. I want to wear saffron robe and become sannyasi. You slap them and they will snap out of it. Yeah. Not for everybody. And there are many people who come to me like this. Oh, I have become sannyasi. I don't have. Please. Okay, na, please. You're not even able to perform one. Asha pasha shatair baddhaha. As Bhagavad Gita says this, in 16th chapter. Asha pasha shatair baddhaha. It's not one asha. It's not one desire that we have. Hundreds of desires we have. The same people who claim that they have been more fascinated or they're more towards sannyasa, what they do is, all I want to do is, I just want to go to Himalayas once and sit in that cave and do tapasya. Why? Illagdero tapasya allagbidutta. I'm sorry to say this in this tone, but I couldn't bring that out in English. I don't know how to bring that out in English either. The thing that we cannot accomplish here, what will you accomplish there? It's impossible. It's all fascination. Okay, we need to snap out of it. Ihaivatayirjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam manaha. Okay. You need to attain whatever you want to accomplish, you need to accomplish here. Samya manasthitaha. You have to bring that manas to samya. That is what yoga is all about, isn't it? Okay, full circle. Okay, two brilliant circles. I know I'm running out of time. Third shloka. Sarecha purairanilāsya kumbhaihi sarvasu nadishu vishodhitasu anahataksho bahubhih prakaraihi antah pravarteta sada ninadaha. What a beautiful way, I know after every shloka I will say this. Please don't mind. Okay. I'm kind of a fanboy. It's a fanboy thing. Yeah. If every time I read the shloka, I feel like, what a poet he is. And the unfortunate thing is, nobody appreciates Bhagavatpāda as a poet. I do respect him as a philosopher, as a darshanika, acharya. All these things are okay. But have you seen the poet Śaṅkarācārya? Oh my God. I mean, it's beyond your imagination. You'll have every stream. It's like reading Kalidasa. It's like reading Kalidasa, but a different level of Kalidasa altogether. Okay, anyway, no, so sorry. Sarecha purairanilāsya kumbhaihi. Anilasya. Sarecha puraihi kumbhaihi. Anila means prana. Okay, vayu, prana. And Sarecha puraihi. Rechaka and puraka. These are simple concepts that everybody is aware of. Okay. Rechaka is exhalation. Puraka is inhalation. Small process. I know this is not the exact way of saying it, but just to make it more understandable, more affordable. Yogatārāvalī should be affordable. Not in terms of price, in terms of words, it should be affordable. That's why. Sarecha puraihi kumbhaihi. Kumbha here refers to Kumbhaka, holding the breath together. Okay. Rechaka, Puraka, Kumbhaka of the prana. And if we do this, what happens? Sarvasu nadishu vishodhitasu. Nadi shuddhi. See, even in Hatha Yoga Pradipika, this is the first step that they mention. If someone wants to gain entry into the world of pranayama, you need to have a certificate. It's like a YIC. Sorry. If you don't have YIC, then you can't enter into some courses. No, is that so? I think that is the way it is. Yeah, and just like that. You want to enter into the world of pranayama, where is your YIC? Where is your Nadi Shodha? Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhitas. Without Nadi Shuddhi, one cannot do pranayama, is what the Yoga Shastra says. And he mentions that Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhitasu. And what a wonderful thing that Nadi Shodha is. That Nadi Shuddhi, Nadi Shodhanam that happens. Fabulous. It's one of the fundamental things that needs to happen. Okay. Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhitasu. Bahubhif Prakarai. See, with many, many ways, not just one way. There are multiple ways of ensuring Anahatakhyo Ninadaha. There is a Ninada, there is a sound, not just Nadaha. Nadaha means a sound that I am making now. That is a Nada. This is Ninadaha. Nitaram Nadaha. Okay. There is an absoluteness to this Nada. There is a comprehensiveness to this Nada. That's why it is called as Ninada. Shabde Ninada Ninada. The first synonym that Amarakoshakara gives for Shabda is Ninada. Okay. Ninada means that Nada. And that should be, what is it called as? Anahatakhya. It is not generated by friction. It is not generated by beating something. Without any friction, that Nada is emerging. That Nada, Bahubhif Prakaraihi, with many, many ways, that Nada will emerge. And where should it be? It should not be emerging in the outer world. He's not mentioning about the different sounds that we create by Veena, Venu, Mridanga. The Vyakyakara writes that, Veena, Venu, Mridanga, Shankha, Dundubhyadi, Bahu Prakaraha. When they say Bahubhif Prakarihi, what do you mean by Bahubhif Prakarihi? What are the different ways? I told you, music instruments. They are very important. Very, very important. And just one last thing, just to highlight how close Patanjali is to all these things, even though that is not highlighted much. Okay. Yogena Chittasya, Padena Vacham, Malam Sharirasya cha Vaidyakena. 3 things, no? Ayurveda, Yoga, Vyakarana. 3 things. In all these 3, you will see the Pada, the Shabda, having a very important element associated. In Yoga, it is in a very subtle form. That is Anahata. Okay. In Vyakarana, it is Ahata. Okay. And the extension of that Vyakarana's Ahatanada gives that point where exactly the Roga begins. The Chikitsa has to happen. If I have to rectify that path, then that Pada should be there, no? Pada here refers to the position, the location. That is Malam Sharirasya cha Vaidyakena. Yogena Chittasya. And when he removed that Chittasya Malam with Yoga, it is like, remove that's Nadi Shodha and all these things. It will allow us to access that Anahata Nada. And Vyakarana Pada Shuddhi. And that Pada Shuddhi is about Ahata Nada. And if I can't pronounce Omkara correctly, and how do you pronounce Omkara correctly if you do not have the knowledge of Vyakarana? Oh, sorry, I have not learned Sanskrit of Vyakaranam, but I can say Omkara. You can say, Pa, I know, you can say. But you will be fascinated to know that even though there are 5 components in Omkara. Did you know that? You were taught Om. You learned Om. But you will be fascinated to know that it has got 5 components. How do you put 5 components together in one sound? That is the beauty of Vyakarana, isn't it? That's how Patanjali has seen this Nāda Anusandhāna in everywhere. In every aspect, there is Nāda Anusandhāna. In the most grossest form to the most subtlest form, there is Nāda Anusandhāna. Okay, that's why he says, that ninadaha sada pravarteta. It should always be there. Pravarteta means it should be actively present. It should be actively existing. Where? Antaha, within oneself. Okay. And how will it happen? Without Nadi Shuddhi, it is not going to happen. That's why Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhiteshu. Vishodhitasu, sorry. Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhitasu. So all the Nadis should be clean. Nadi Shodha should happen. And how do you ensure Nadi Shodha? Sarecha Purai Ranilasya Kumbhaihi. Anilasya, Pranasya, Rechaka, Puraka, Kumbhaka. So Rechaka, Puraka, and Kumbhaka are processes that we impose on the prana. And when we impose this Rechaka, Puraka, Kumbhaka on the prana, immediately or eventually, not immediately, sorry, eventually that Nadi Shuddhi happens. And once that Nadi Shodha happens, what will happen? Bahubhif Prakarihi Ninadaha. Only when we have that Nadi Shodha, when we hear that Ghanta Nada or Shankha Nada, or Bheri, Mridanga, Veena, Venu, any of these nadas will make an impact on us only when we have Nadi Shuddhi. If there is no Nadi Shuddhi, then this will not even pierce through our ears. It will just fall on our ears. And it will, just create a ripple, and we can recognize that this is the sound, that's all. But we will not be able to do that Anusandhana. That's why the word is Nāda Anusandhāna. There should be a follow-up of that sound. And for that to happen, the Nadi should be clear, no? The Nadis are spread across the body. So until and unless that Nadi Shuddhi is there, the sound that we are hearing, the Ahata Nada that falls, it has to travel through Anahata, it has to travel towards that Anahata. That can happen only when there is Nadi Shuddhi. And immediately in the next, he takes up, in the upcoming shlokas, he takes up that Sushumna Nadi as well. Basically, that's where the mind should enter. Once it enters that Sushumna, it's done, kind of thing. Okay. So anyway, Antah Pravarteta Sadaninadaha, that Anahatanada should exist within oneself. That is the whole idea that has been presented in the third shloka. Okay. One last shloka. Okay. I am becoming more greedier. Okay. One shloka. It's very, very simple one. It's not tough. It's very simple. Nāda Anusandhāna namostu tubhyam. Tvam sadhanam tattvapadasya jane. Bhavat prasadat pavanena sakam viliyate vishnupade manome. Okay. Talked about only Sadashivoktani. I'm biased. You talk only about Ishvara. Where is Vishnu? Vishnupade manome. See. Now, okay, fine. Vishnu is also mentioned. We are all happy now. We can all go home happily. And the Vishnu and Shiva, both of them have been mentioned. Deva. Nāda Anusandhāna. And he calls Nāda Anusandhāna by name. The marga, the path. Nāda Anusandhāna tubhyam namaha. I bow down to you. He's bowing down to the very path. He's offering the namaskaras to the very laya, marga itself. Nāda Anusandhāna namostu tubhyam. Why? Because Tvam jane. The word jane here is not the Hindi Jan kind of word. Jan, Janu, Jane in Kannada, not that. Jane here refers to I understand, I know, I am aware of the fact that Tvam Tattvapadasya Sadhanam Jane. I consider or I understand Nāda Anusandhāna as Tattvapadasya Sadhanam. Sadhanam is tool, instrument. I consider Nāda Anusandhānam. I am aware that Nāda Anusandhānam is the path or is the sadhanam, is the tool, is the instrument for Tattvapadam. Paramapadam. Tattvapadam is Parabrahma Tattvapadam. To the ultimate thing, this is the path. This is like the sadhanam. Okay. Bhavat prasadat. And only with your anugraha. Because Nāda Anusandhāna has to marry us. It's not about us marrying Nāda Anusandhāna. It is Nāda Anusandhāna marrying us. While teaching grammar, there is a famous line in Siddhanta Kaumudi. Okay. Almost every traditional scholar while teaching asks this very question. Okay. Which river joins which river? 144 years. You all have been there. Okay. Answer me this. Which river, which river joins which river? Is it Ganga joining Yamuna or Yamuna joining Ganga? Okay. It's a debate. And that debate has been put to rest, actually, in Vyakarana. Okay. So there is a way of understanding that who should enter where or what should join others. So similarly, it's not just about we approaching Nāda Anusandhāna or I practicing Nāda Anusandhāna is not going to be sufficient at all. The Nāda Anusandhāna should find me, should consider that path itself, should consider me worthy enough to be stepping in. Okay. That is what the whole idea is. That's why he says that Bhavat Prasadat. That's why we need the Anugraha, we need the Prasada, we need the Prasannata, the pleasantness of the Nāda Anusandhāna, the Marga, the path itself should be favorable to us. Bhavat Prasadat. And also, not only that, Pavanena Sakam. Pranayama is also required. You know, without the help of prana, you cannot work anything. So, Pavanena Sakam. With Nāda Anusandhāna's blessings should be there with us, but along with prana's help, me manaha, my mind, Vishnu pade viliyate. Vishnu here refers to that Parabrahma Tattva. Okay. Vishvam Vishnur Vashatkaraha. Vishnu Sahasranama. It is not about that Chaturbhuja Vishnu. No. It is about Parabrahma. That is why it is Vishnu Sahasranama. Now, every word is basically describing the Paramatma itself. Okay. Anyway. That Vishnu Pade, in that Parama Padam, Mano Viliyate. The mind will dissolve. The mind will rest there. Okay. So the whole idea that has been mentioned in the first 4 shlokas of Yogataravalī, I'm going to conclude it in 2 minutes. The whole idea that has been mentioned in the first 4 shlokas is about Laya. How do we ensure that Laya? How do we ensure that dissolution happens? How the mind comes to a rest? Why are you talking about resting? Is it because it is 9:45 now? No. It is because what did we seek in the first shloka? Samsara hala hala moha shanti. That shanti should happen, no? And that shanti is laya. Shanti basically is laya. Okay. And for that laya, there are 1.25 lakhs methods, margas, paths that have been told by Parameshwara. Amongst them, Nāda Anusandhāna samadhimekam manyamahe manyatamam laya. Nāda Anusandhāna is outstanding amongst them. And how Nāda Anusandhāna happens? Without Nadi Shuddhi, there is no Nāda Anusandhāna. That's why Sarecha Purair Anilasya Kumbhaihi Sarvasu Nadishu Vishodhitasu. And then this Nāda Anusandhāna happens. Antah pravarteta sada ninadaha. Okay, that's how he concluded. And then Nāda Anusandhāna, therefore, namostu tubhyam. When will you actually bow down to anybody? When you understand their value. If you think they are valuable, only then I will bow down to them. No. So Bhagavatpāda is mentioning that Nāda Anusandhāna is valuable. It's of immense value. That's why Nāda Anusandhāna namostu tubhyam. Tattvapadasya jani. I consider you to be sadhanam tattvapadasya jani. So you are the foremost instrument, foremost tool for that tattvapadam. Pavanena sakam. And along with the help of pavana, along with the help of prana, viliyate Vishnu pade manome. And my mind will dissolve in that Vishnu padam, in that Shashvata padam, in that Vaikuntha padam. Yadgatva nanivartante tadhama paramam mama. In that point of non-return. That is where Nāda Anusandhāna takes us. That is the whole purpose of discussing Yogataravalī. And with these words, I conclude the talk. I know I have utilized all the minutes, but if there are any questions, very quickly, we can take some questions related to these particular shlokas, related to these shlokas. Okay.
You said
No questions.
this Yogatārāvalī is basically the experience by
Yeah.
Bhagavatpāda Ādi Śaṅkarācārya. So this Nāda Anusandhāna, what you are describing, is also an experience by
Yeah.
him. And
Yeah.
is there any mode of that he used as a path to this? Or
Like as I said, for sannyasis, that's why I subtly mentioned that for sannyasis, it is usually the pranavopadesha that they give. They are supposed to chant only pranava, not the any other mantra part. Only pranava. That pranava anusandhana usually leads to nada anusandhana, because pranava, when they are chanting, they will be able to explore the components of pranava, and the exploration of pranava's components usually leads to nada anusandhana as well. That's the method that he has used, because that's the method he has passed on to the next parampara as well.
Namaste. Of course, not pertain to these 4 shlokas, but generally as Yogataravalī, as a text, scholars would say that this might not be actually written by Bhagavatpāda Ādi Śaṅkarācārya, maybe a later Śaṅkarācārya in the lineage. Of course, we consider everyone Asmadacharya Paryantam, all to be the same Shankara.
Yeah.
But historically, or this thing will, how do you comment on this?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a very unique way of putting it. Okay. When people run out of depth, when people can't understand the depth of the work, they become vultures. And vultures usually work on carcasses. They work on the outer area. Okay. That's how people think on the. I'm not able to understand the depth of Yogataravalī. Let me say that this work is not by Śaṅkarācārya. This is some other person. The best way to judge a work is if you can find the interconnectedness with the theory. If there is no inner conflict, swavachana virodhaha should not be there. If there is no swavachana virodhaha, then it is the work of the same person. And I'll bet my life on this because I'm that confident. I'll bet my life on this, that throughout the works of Śaṅkarācārya, we won't find any conflict in amongst the darshanas, any of the darshanas. There is no conflict at all. It's just a myth. They say that he has criticized Mimamsa, he has criticized Sankhya. All these things it has to be taken with face value. So similarly, this darshana, or he is called as a darshanika. He's not called as an advaitin. He's called as a darshanika. So if someone has to be called as a darshanika, he needs to have an overall view, an outlook of darshanas. And that outlook of darshanas is very much evident in Yogataravalī. Therefore, this should be considered based upon the value of the work. I think it should be judged rather than the historic or the anthropological documents or evidences. They are secondary evidences, according to me. So that would be my.
Are there any cross references in any other Prasthanātraya Bhashya, the major text of Shankara?
He very rarely quotes himself. So he generally quotes from the Upanishads. So he very rarely quotes from his own works. Even in the Prakarana Granthas, we don't find, he just mentions that idam tatra bhashya spashtam. That's all, but he doesn't refer or quote as such. So the work Yogataravalī may not be found in evidence, as part of evidence, or as part of the references. It is not found, but it is a well-respected work, very well, highly reputed work.
Or the kind of Purva Pakshas which he presents, where he refuses the other darshanas like yoga or Sankhya, don't they?
Correct. That's why I said that it's very difficult to to come with the substantial evidence that people seek. It's not only about the words as evidence. It has to be Anubhava. Bhagavatpāda himself has said this. Tatra pramanam Guravaha Anubhavastatha. Tatra pramanam Shastram. The first one is Tatra pramanam Vedantaha. That is Upanishads basically. Tatra pramanam Vedantaha Guravo Anubhavastatha. The hierarchy of pramana. So Anubhava is the Parama Pramana. So the parampara to which I belong, it's completely based on the Anubhava of the yogi, of the yogis, basically. There are not one person. Based on the Anubhava of the yogis, that this work has been like ticked, like it is truly the work of Shankara. That is more pramanika, I believe.
Have there been any particular traditional bhashya for this text,
Yes,
like for
yes,
example,
there is.
Jyotsna for Hataratnavali,
There is.
Yoga Pratipika,
Correct.
something like that we have.
There is. Yeah. There is a bhashya called as Bhava Prakasha on Yogataravalī, and it is published by Oriental Research Institute of Mysore. It is available. The book is available. I don't know if it is still physically available or not. This is the copy that I have. Oh, sorry, it's not visible, I guess.
By whom? Bhava Prakasha is by whom?
It doesn't give the author's name, but it has been compiled. This work consists both Mandala Brahmana Upanishad along with Shankara Bhagavatpada's Raja Yoga Bhashya and Yogataravalī along with Bhava Prakasha. So it's a small work, but substantial work. The commentator also doesn't mention his name either, and in the beginning. So that's another issue. But the Vyakhyanam is good. It's solid.
Then
it is Venkatanatha. That is the name of the commentator. N.S. Venkatanatha Acharya. He's the one who has written this.
no, this Venkatanatha is original commentator of the Bhava Prakasha.
Yeah.
Or
No. He's the original commentator.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sir,
Yes.
probably a stupid question, but just interesting. I mean, it just came to my mind. So, I mean, in the second shloka, you kind of touched upon, I mean, I kind of got an idea that meditating on the Anahata Chakra is what our great Guru Ādi Śaṅkarācārya is recommending. But from
not
the
Anahata Chakra. No. I didn't mention the word chakra at all.
but Anahata, so that's why it kind of
the word Anahata refers to the point that this sound is not artificially generated. It is natural. The very word Anahata means natural, that which has no friction. Ahata means to collision. The literal meaning of the word Ahata is collision. Anahata is absence of collision. That's all. Only in that sense he means that. When he said Anahataha Nadaha, this is what Anahata Nada means, not the Anahata Chakra.
Okay. I mean, I was just okay. Then my question is invalid. Sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. But
No. I was. I mean, kind of. I mean, I was thinking on those lines, having going about yoga chakras. So all these days, I was thinking that awakening the Kuṇḍalinī is kind of the ultimate realization of yoga. Correct. I kind of misguessed that Ādi Śaṅkarācārya ji is asking us to focus on Anahata. So I felt it was a contradiction. Sorry, my question is not void.
He's asking us to focus on Nāda Anusandhāna. How we can move from Ahata Nada to Anahata Nada. That journey, we have to totally focus on the process of Nāda Anusandhānam, not on the Anahata Chakra itself. The concept of chakra, bandha, all these things, they are picked up later on in the work. It does talk about the chakras, but not now. It is purely about the Anahata Nada. That is basically Pranava Nada. Pranava is generally considered as Anahata.
Okay, Omkara is Anahata.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you. I think we can close the session, today's session. So thank you so much for such a beautiful beginning to the Yogataravalī and also explaining the first 4 shlokas with such easy examples. So thanks a lot, sir.